What is up, everyone? Christy Keenan here for SuperLobby.com. We've got our weekly fantasy Premier League podcast for you guys. Special guest this week, Alex Birrer, who plays under the moniker Wazzu24. Alex is a well-known face in the DFS world. I first got wind of Alex's expertise on the 2+2 poker forums, which actually have a really insightful and interesting DFS sub-forum. And of course, we have my regular partner in crime, David Copeland, the CEO of SuperLobby.com. Gentlemen, how are you?
Terrific. Excellent.
Wonderful. How about those? Right, first things first. Alex, I am desperate to hear your daily fantasy sports backstory. What got you into the game? What are your biggest scores, etc.? Let's hear it, sir.
You mentioned the 2+2 forum, and actually that's how I found DFS to begin with.
Okay.
This was years ago, before DraftKings or Mondogoal ever existed. You might know of a site called Draft Day.
Yeah.
2+2 had an ad for Draft Day in maybe 2011, and that's when I found it. And I signed up there. I'd never heard of daily fantasy. I had no idea what it was. I still remember winning my first $100. It was like the greatest thing ever. And every year since then, I've continue to play new sports, increase my volume. At this point I'm playing several different sports, most days of the week. My biggest scores have been maybe like a 5K win, and then obviously I won the Mondogoal 10K 3 or 4 weeks ago. That was pretty nice.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. I was not expecting it too. I mean, I put in about 50 teams a week, but winning it is not easy, especially when the statistical information is so much more limited in soccer than it is in some of the sports over here. At least for us,
sure,
we just don't have the advanced stats. Partially it's because of the free flowing nature of soccer, but we just don't get as many advanced stats, and that makes it extremely difficult compared to sports like basketball in particular, where almost everyone is just using an algorithm to make their lineups, which is part of the reason why I like soccer more, to be honest.
So it's more of a kind of a skill edge in soccer in terms of, individual interpretation of the limited data there is.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to say that there's not huge edge to get in any DFS sport, but I feel like in soccer it's more about picking your lineup just a little bit more than some of the other sports where people are using lineup optimizers and things like that. I just don't think there's such a thing as a lineup optimizer that's going to be particularly useful in soccer.
That's really interesting take on it. So going back to your big win on Mondogoal, the 10K, obviously a massive deal. Not many people have won such a prestigious event. What was like the secret sauce there? Who is your main guy?
The secret sauce was definitely Graziano Pelle. I don't know how to say his name, but I'm assuming that's correct.
Pelle.
He scored. It was the week he scored 2 goals against Man United. I believe it was on Sunday. I didn't even know that I had won because I was working on my NFL lineups, and then the game started. And it wasn't until like a couple hours later where I checked the lineup and I noticed that he had scored twice, and that I finished first. That was pretty nice.
Nice.
He was definitely the big key.
Yeah, good man. And I noticed that actually, spoiler alert for going through your team later, but you've actually gone with Pelle this week as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a better matchup this time.
Yeah, absolutely. David, are you, just to shift things a little bit, now I'm at the top of the Super Lobby podcast leaderboard. Are you sick green with envy, David?
All of the above. There was one person I was relying on all season to just quite easily sit at the bottom of the league table. And we're excluding Hesh here because it's simply unfair for us to talk about him when he did it.
Highest score?
The highest score is 115.6 points, which is pretty modest, to be honest.
There's been some shockers. He likes his chances.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, look at this fighting talk. I love
it. There we go. I like your chances too, Alex, to be honest.
Brutal.
Having seen your lineup.
It is, a really, really strong looking lineup. But you know what? They always look really strong. The guys that we have on this podcast are so advanced as DFS players and so far ahead in terms of just sheer knowledge base than utter droolers like David and myself. It's just like a miracle that we're anywhere near the top of the leaderboard as it is. David, you got dethroned a couple of weeks back. Who was it? Was it Gallon who dethroned you?
Yeah. In fact, do you know what? Well, yeah, I think it was. If he beat me, it wasn't by much.
No.
He was lucky, obviously.
Oh, we'll write it off as luck. Yeah.
It goes without saying you were lucky. Yeah,
I was. It was a Sergio Aguero show.
Yeah, 5 goals, 5 shots, all that stuff. So 46 points, he got you.
46 points. I was actually at a wedding, and I went into the ceremony at 3 p.m, came out of the ceremony at like 4 p.m, and happened to glance up at like Sky Sports through the window of somewhere, and it said Man City 6, Newcastle 1, and I thought, like, there is no way that Aguero hasn't been involved in that.
Yeah,
but I didn't think
a little bit more than just involved.
Exactly, and De Bruyne got the 6th, which and he was also my pick, and he laid on a couple of assists for Aguero. So between the two of them, that basically just sealed the deal for me. Lucky rather than good. Still, I'll take it. And David, just give me like a 1-minute little summary of all the madness that's been going on in the DFS world in the last 10 days. It seems like everything is just going crazy right now.
It seems like everything is going crazy times 1,000. Quick snapshot: if you've been locked away somewhere, there was a lot of negative news just over a week ago regarding daily fantasy and the release of certain data that probably shouldn't have been released, and then it's all spun back, and then everyone was watching how would the sites perform at the weekend, and then unbelievably the sites like outperformed probably everyone's expectation and delivered their strongest ever weekends of NFL entries. So it was like hoopla come Monday, but I'm hearing that all is not over, and there are some out very shortly.
Somewhat. Sorry, repeat that for me.
Yeah, I'm actually just getting word almost right now on the other line as we speak here that there may be some other types of investigation ongoing. Probably isn't fair for me to say just now, but I think watch this space.
Watch this space. Look at that. I mean, this is like the worst scripted soap opera you could imagine, but that was actually quite a cliffhanger, David. Thanks for that.
Yeah, the thing is, with the delay of the podcast before it goes live, everyone will know what that cliffhanger was before the year.
That's probably a good point. So then we just look like the complete idiots that we undoubtedly are, because everyone by then knows what it is, and we don't have a clue. But we are shooting this on Thursday, late morning US time, so forgive us. The news hasn't reached us yet. Okay, all of which is a very long-winded way of saying let's take a look at Alex's lineup. Alex, first things first, could you please talk us through 1 to 11 and tell us why you have top-loaded your team with Man City players, please?
I mean, you mentioned yourself you had a team when City scored 6 goals. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking 1 through 4 players when you've got City at home against Bournemouth. I can't guarantee they're going to get shut out, but Kompany's price is really low. He should be back from injury. I probably would have preferred Kolarov to Zabaleta, but I think he's injured. I can't guarantee that he'll play. If he does play, I definitely have him in some teams, but I tried to play it safe with this team since we're making it on a Thursday. I don't know who's going to start yet. Bony's definitely going to play, and I think he's got the highest book odds to score, and his price is just, he's half the price of what Aguero would normally be.
It's a really nice price on Bony, given that he is a banker to play in the centre forward role at home against Bournemouth. Have done well so far this season, but they are not an elite level team.
No, and Bournemouth also had multiple injuries. They had Wilson went down. I can't remember who else.
They've had so many. Oh goodness me, what's his name now? Max Gradle is out for the rest of the season, and also centre half Tyrone Mings very good players. So they are lacking in some seriously, first pick players.
And Bony will be really, really popular, as will Bruyne, but it's really difficult to fade them. Their production is not guaranteed, but highly likely. I'll definitely have tournament rosters that don't have either of them, though.
That's interesting.
I'd advise anyone to do that. And it's a similar story with Southampton too. I mean, it's a good matchup.
Yeah. So Southampton, we've got at home to Leicester, overperforming Leicester. Let's be honest. And Southampton, you've gone with like the two main headline makers there, Mane and Pelle. David, what do you make of Mane and Pelle as DFS picks?
Yeah, well, I really like Mane. He's one of these sort of guys. He's classed as a midfielder, isn't he? But feels and looks and plays like a striker. He can definitely get beyond. He's got the pace and everything else. Yeah, I always really like him. Pelle is a guy that I've picked some weeks, but I don't know, like coming off an international game. Like I know a lot of people are coming off international games. He's not the only one, but
he did score though.
He did, yeah.
He did.
That's something I'd like to do is target players who scored on their break. I don't know statistically if that actually leads to more goals, but it definitely can't hurt to target players who scored in the past week with their international club.
Yeah,
I would say that's probably beyond reproach, isn't it? I mean, strikers score in bursts. That's they come in clumps for strikers. So if you're scoring one week, probabilistically speaking, you're more likely than your base rate to score in the following game. I would imagine, maybe I'm totally wrong in that. I'd love if one of our viewers or listeners could disabuse me of that notion, but that strikes me as just logical.
I've had success with it before, picking players who scored off the international break. It's a super small sample size, but there's definitely nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely. And you've gone with two West Brom players at the back. So actually, I'm just going to walk through your lineup 1 to 11 for the people who are listening without audio on iTunes. So we got Boaz Myhill, Craig Dawson from West Brom, Pab Zab and Vincent Kompany from Man City. So that's the goalkeeper in the back three. Across the midfield, Kevin De Bruyne, Sadio Mane, Riyad Mahrez from Leicester, Yohan Cabaye from Crystal Palace. Up front, the aforementioned Graziano Pelle, Wilfred Bony, and you've gone with Diego Costa from Chelsea at 7.2 million, just coming back from suspension. Talk us through the Costa pick, actually.
He's just way underpriced. I mean, let's see, how many goals does he have this season?
Diego Costa, one goal this season in the league. Yeah,
still
kind of surprising.
While he was suspended, his price has come down, and it's just similar to Bony. He's really difficult to fade at that price. I mean, all three of my strikers are under 10 million, which is unusual. Normally, I would choose at least one larger than that.
I was about to say, like, David, as a gambling man, what price would you give me that you could get Pelle, Bony, and Costa, and pay less than 10 mega each? You're paying just like I think almost exactly 25 million for the three.
Hard to put a price on that, Christy, but it would be a big price. It certainly wouldn't be a 50% chance, would it?
No, I mean, we're talking.
I thought you were going to ask me.
Single digits, surely, or
Costa's price will definitely
that's
way up. He'll easily be 12, 13 million once he gets going.
Yeah, no question. No question. So yeah, just going back to the West Brom at the back picks. So you've got Craig Dawson and Boaz Myhill. Neither of whom, let's be honest, are headline makers. But West Brom are home to struggling Sunderland, and Big Sam Allardyce will be making his bow as Sunderland manager. What's your thought process there, Alex?
I mean, nobody wants to choose West Brom defenders or their goalkeeper, but they're playing at home against Sunderland, like you said. It's really that simple. You don't have to get cute. I mean, you take players who are at home against Sunderland, and they're going to perform.
But Christy, what I'm slightly worried about the new manager being in place at Sunderland too. I can't remember what sort of manager is Big Sam. Is that is he a direct sort of guy or?
I mean, that's what legend has it. He's not as long ball as people would have you say. What Allardyce does very, very well, in my opinion, is adjust his teams to the resources that he has available.
Yeah.
So at West Ham, when he had Andy Carroll, and he had guys like Stuart Downing available, who's just got a wand of a left peg, he would play rather direct, play to a target man. And okay, so they weren't entirely route one, but they were somewhat direct. But I actually feel that Allardyce, with his pedigree, particularly his Bolton team, if you think back to like the era of JJ Okocha, Yuri Djorkaeff, people like that, I mean, it's doing them a massive disservice to say they were a long ball team. They finished top 8 2 seasons running. I think top 6 once actually. In the Premier League. I mean, that is phenomenal for a team like Bolton. So I actually think Allardyce is a good manager who is underrated because he has this. He's not exactly Jurgen Klopp with the media or Mourinho with the media, but he'll do a good job there.
Yeah, he's not bad. Can I be a bit contrarian to what Alex said there? I think I'm going to go with Sunderland to keep a clean sheet against West Brom.
Oh, shots fired. Talk us through it, David.
If it ends 0-0, that's good with me.
We both win. We both win, and it may well do. I've just never been impressed with West Brom this season. Just think they're just like such a averagely poor team. Just don't offer much threat at all, and negative manager, and he's just grinding. That would just grind to a halt, West Brom. Eventually, I don't know. Just
first goal's the winner, isn't it?
Feels like it. It's probably got the lowest goal expectation. Alex, do you know, is that game got the lowest goal expectation of the fixtures this week?
I assume so.
I mean, how could it not?
I assume so. Yeah. One thing I would note is Jermaine Lens has been one of Sunderland's best players. I believe he is out.
He's suspended. Yep, he got a red card.
I mean, that does not help Sunderland.
Right.
I actually noticed that. First things first, Stephen Fletcher, who scored 4 goals in 2 appearances for Scotland last week, while still not exactly performing, top grade football, is a very, very Allardyce type of player. He's physical, he's pacey, and he's he's kind of experienced. Allardyce likes to go with the wise old heads, and I think Fletcher is a real Allardyce player. I think he'll start ahead of Defoe. Allardyce has already come out in the media and given Defoe a warning, saying, you need more in your game than just being a penalty box striker to play for me.
What makes him think that he's going to suddenly change Jermaine Defoe?
I know, like 33 years old, yeah. Okay, Jermaine, reinvent
Fletcher's
yourself.
Cheap too.
Who's cheap, sorry?
Fletcher's cheap. I mean, not to recommend players against my goalie, but he's 4.9.
That's a good price actually for Stephen Fletcher, given that, as Alex mentioned, international performance is basically just trying to keep goal scorer momentum going for a guy like Stephen Fletcher. He's just banged him for his goals. His goal for Scotland against Poland, did anyone catch it?
I caught it.
Not
keeper never. The keeper didn't.
Keeper didn't get close. It was a stoater. It was a beauty. Fletcher is not a particularly popular player in Scotland, but he is. I do think he'll start at the weekend, and I do think he's underrated, and I do think at under 5 million, if you can find, if you're needing to free up a bit of cash in your team, you could do worse than Stephen Fletcher this week. I cannot believe I've just talked myself into recommending Stephen Fletcher when we're talking Diego Costa, Wilfried Bony, and Graziano Pelle.
The value is already there at striker, but they're going to be highly, highly owned. Stephen Fletcher will not be.
That's true. Yeah.
Who's Stephen Fletcher? I mean, do people just not like him?
You know what?
I
have against Stephen Fletcher, David? He's a traitor to the receding community. I hate footballers that get hair transplants. I think I'm not having it. I'm not having it. You got to own your look, guys. Stephen Fletcher was bald at about 16, and he's suddenly come back with a massive thatch of hair on his head.
I love that. I think Alex was actually about to say something sensible there before you said that, Christy.
Let's hear it, Alex.
All I said was he's just Stephen Fletcher. That's just, I mean,
that's
he's nothing special, but he's 4.9.
It's a good price.
West Brom, even though I'm taking the West Brom goalie, it's still West Brom.
Yeah, I hear you. And Riyad Mahrez in midfield, who was benched for Leicester last time out. What's your thought process there, Alex?
Yeah, it was actually my last choice. I'd filled in the other 10 spots, and I had 10.8 left, and Mahrez is 10.7. I didn't necessarily want to put him in this team, but it just fit. And, obviously his production has been through the roof, whether it's sustainable or not. Southampton is not exactly the best matchup, but I'd be surprised if they kept him on the bench. How do you keep that kind of production on the bench? How did he get benched in the first place?
It's really peculiar, wasn't it? I assume that's Ranieri living up to the Tinkerman nickname, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. He's been so good this season. Possible player of the year to date in the Premier League?
To date, yeah. He's not going to keep it going, I don't think. I mean, is he really going to outproduce Hazard by the time the season is over?
I mean, it's unlikely, obviously, but if Chelsea keep on going okay, so Chelsea are going to pick up eventually, but it certainly looks like the title's beyond them already. Hazard has got a lot of catching up to do on a guy like Mahrez. Alex, one final one. Why the 3-4-3 this week?
Almost all my lineups are 3-4-3. I do roughly 50 entries into the 10K each week, and I think like 98% of them have been 3-4-3. You're trying to get your strikers to score 2 goals, and there are not very many midfielders. I mean, outside of De Bruyne, how many midfielders actually get set in the books as greater than 50% to score? Pretty much none of them. And especially with Hazard is the one top midfielder that could potentially be in that place along with De Bruyne, but he's just not producing this year. He's not playing well at all.
Fair point. David, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like this team?
It's like an 8. It's an 8. A slight mark down for the anti-Sunderland.
Hey, I'm rooting for Sunderland. They have Yedlin. I want to see Yedlin.
All right. Yeah, fair point. Gents, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been an absolute pleasure. Alex Birrer, thank you so much for your appearance, sir.
Absolutely.
We look forward to seeing how this team stacks up on the SuperLobby leaderboard that I'm currently leading. So surely if you can't usurp me, then, God help you with your 50 entries, to be honest. David, as always, a delight, sir.
Well, very kind. Thank you, Christy, for doing it. Thank you more, Alex, for turning up and doing it. Love your team. Think you've got a big chance, and I would be thrilled if you could beat Christy off the top spot.